Dude, that's the problem with tech. I feel like once you figure it out, I'm the exact same. I'm so untech savvy. So once I've got like my process down, if anything like varies from that, I'm fucked. I'm just like, well, now I don't know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
I'm not a big fan of troubleshooting. Like
Yeah, I agree.
troubleshooting as a principle, I just don't enjoy. And anything that's involved a whole lot of troubleshooting in my life, I tend to veer away from. I like
Just
just
stick with the problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it's I think the reason I only got through half of audio engineering school, you know. I was like, I want to play music. I don't want to mess with flow charts. It's too confusing, you know.
Yeah, and there's a lot to troubleshoot in that industry too. A lot of
Ah,
figuring
it's
it
like
out.
and I think I made a good choice because now that I've spent a considerable amount of time in studios through the years, like I mean, all sorts of variables of things can go wrong when you're running that many hundreds or thousands of chords through
Yeah.
different things. And if something sounds weird, I've seen people take hours, half days, even full days, literally troubleshooting. Um,
Yeah, that's rough.
so
I
I
saw
do think I've
footage
made a good call.
I saw footage yesterday of it was like Rammstein's setup from the front of house through to their stage for the sound and the
Oh
pyro and all the
yeah.
links. And the
Hmm.
setup for that thing, I was like, whoever's front of house or whoever's running that sort of things, that's a nightmare every day. It looks absolute
Oh, their show
chaos.
is, yeah, their show is nuts.
Yeah,
I remember the
like
first time I saw that show, I actually feared for myself, you know? Shoots off the stage
yeah,
and
and
you're
then
kind of
back to
under
the
it. It's like,
stage.
ah,
Yeah.
fuck, you know? Yeah. Like, I was like, I hope somebody who set this up knows what they're doing because,
And if it
you
goes
know,
wrong, we don't know what they're telling you to do. They can't tell you how to get out because it's the wrong language.
I do have to say what I know of the German people by being there a lot. If there was a people I would trust with Rammstein's gear to not burn me alive, it
It's
would
the
be
German
like,
efficiency.
yeah, they're pretty on point with stuff
They
like
are,
that.
yeah. One of my
I've
best
played a
friends is
lot.
German.
I've spent months playing like German festivals and just as a anthropological experiment, it's funny to really pay attention and see how festivals run in different countries because I think it's like some strange indication of something. I don't know what. I don't know if good or bad. Like that's
It's
not for
funny you
me to
say that.
decide, but there is something interesting going on, like for sure.
You're coming down to do the Oz festival scene, and you haven't done that in a hot minute. I think was Soundwave the last
Yeah.
festival you guys played here?
That's the only
Okay,
one
the
we've
only
played
time you
here.
played. Well, okay, I've seen you at the only festival you played here. What
Yeah,
was
only
that experience
festival.
like for you?
Everything else was headlining
Yeah,
before then. Oh, Soundwave was like, I remember, I mean, one of my first uh memories of Soundwave. I think it was the first time in Gaslight's career that we got our own hotel rooms. Um, so like there is an element of Soundwave where I'm like, yeah, festival's pimp,
yeah. Live at
because I
large in your
thought,
own bed.
yeah, I thought we were getting treated really well, especially since the first time we had been to Australia it was a great tour, but we did a van tour in Australia prior to that, where we started in Perth and made our way, across the whole country essentially.
Did you drive
Um,
across?
yeah, we did. Yeah, we
That's
did a
a
considerable amount of driving
bold
on that tour.
move. Not many bands do that.
We might have done one flight from Perth. I wouldn't be surprised if my memory is a little crossed, but yeah, we did driving tour. So
Okay.
we had a driver, we had a van, and we did the thing in Australia. It was um so Soundwave, that was the next time we were there, and it was like, wow, this is great. I remember meeting that band, Trash Talk, kind of
Yep.
a
Yep.
badass punk band from the West Coast, and we found out that there was a mutual interest in smoking weed and playing NBA Live.
Sure. Great.
So we hooked up on that tour and did a lot of that together. I remember seeing Iron Maiden, I think was on the year we were.
They were,
Um,
yeah. They headlined with the giant
yeah,
blow up Eddie that
and
came out.
yes, and that was like I think the first time I actually got to see Iron Maiden. And I remember checking them out most nights because
It's I
I
mean.
was a little late to the Iron Maiden game, and
Oh.
this was the first time I got to see them, and I was like really excited about that. Um, I remember one memory of that. It was also the first time uniquely, you travel around in Australia and um, you know we weren't even used to fly out tours and stuff like that. We were very accustomed to driving at the time. So being not only in going from show to show in flights, but sharing these flights with many different artists was
Sure.
kind of a trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the back of my, I'm not a great flyer. I'm better than I was back in the day. And I remember always thinking like, all right, if a plane goes down with Gaslight, like it sucks. I don't want it. I don't want to put bad omens into the world. But at least it like cements us in some sort of, historical narrative.
You go down with Iron
And then
Maiden,
I'm
no
in
one's
a
remembering Gaslight. Sorry.
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I thought. And I remember we were on an airplane with like Rob Zombie and Jared Leto and like 30
Yeah.
Seconds to Mars and like all these other people. And I'm like, man, this one goes down. I am an afterthought. I'm the drummer in like the fifth most popular band on this thing. So
Hey, but you're
I
still
didn't
on
like
there in the
that.
good company.
Yeah. And then I remember, I believe our buddies Polar Bear Club were on the tour.
Oh, I miss Paul Bear Club.
And Goose, the bass player Goose, wonderful man, he saw Jared Leto doing yoga at the airport and snuck a picture, and then tried to subsequently sell the picture to like TMZ and like entertainment sites, which he was denied. He didn't get any buyers.
I
But
think that's fair enough. I don't think that's hot press. Everyone
so
expects
I'm
Jared
sorry
Leto
that
doing
none of
yoga
my
in airports.
Yeah. So none of my memories are particularly about like playing music, I'm afraid. But I, had some of those flashbulb memories from that
That's okay.
tour.
I have memories of you playing music, so that's the main thing. I'm pretty
That's
sure
good.
you may have
Were we
been
good?
doing, yeah. Were you
Were
playing
we, we
59 Sound in full?
No, no.
No.
I mean, we were probably doing quite a bit of 59 Sound in 2011. I mean,
Yeah,
we
okay.
were three albums deep, so I can imagine it was, at least 50% of the set. But no, I don't remember playing we've never done like thematic,
Yeah,
like
okay.
set kind of things like that. We only did it once,
Like
like during the
anniversary
59
tour.
Sound, like, yeah,
Yeah.
we did it once there.
That's a cool thing to look back now and look at the longevity of the career. Obviously, you guys have had a few little hiatuses in between. What was the catalyst to be like, no, we're back and doing this thing properly? And how badly did you miss it?
Hmm. I mean, so I guess I'll answer the first part. The catalyst was like as you said, it was always a hiatus that was meant to be opened or not opened based on a few criteria at any certain time, and these criteria were that, you know, Brian has songs for Gaslight and songs that he thinks are up to a certain kind of snuff, I guess, that,
Sure.
and that's a whole thing for a songwriter. I think there was a, criteria for me specifically that like, um, if we were to come back, we're doing albums, and we're a band that makes music and not just tours around and playing our old catalog. I didn't
Yeah,
think
sure.
it was worth getting off the couch for for that. This is, metaphorically, of course, getting off the couch. I didn't spend like 7 years on the couch.
That
Um,
sounds like an omission right there. Is it something being a bit guilty? I didn't. I
I
definitely
wish
didn't do
I
that.
wish I spent 7 years on the couch. I mean, if it was the 90s, maybe I could have sat around for 7 years on Gaslight money, but
We're not in those there anymore, sadly.
that is
Yeah,
not the case, baby.
yeah,
Um, so and then it also just needed to feel right. I mean, there were times in that 7 years where if you asked me based on what was going on with the people, the world, everything, I would have said, nah, like it's not the time, or like, nah, I don't think it's gonna happen. And for some reason, the day like Bry gave me a call and started picking my brain about maybe doing the thing again, it felt right. There was no urgency in my belly telling me otherwise. It was just
sure.
really, I was like, and I believe in things like that. I'm like, there's no red flags being thrown up in my brain right now, and this sounds great. Um, so we got together once, kind of hashed out a little bit of what wound up being the Weatherman on the new record. That was the
Okay.
first one we had kind of picked through. And we sat down together, we worked through like a structure and hung out for a couple hours and was like, all right, let's call the guys and like do the thing.
Hell
So it was
yeah.
really organic in that way. It was um, definitely people and music first, I would say, and then we started figuring everything out later after that, which wound up being a lot to figure out. I think that was one thing we um didn't disregard, but maybe didn't think enough about was kind of getting the whole engine going again
Sure.
and all the stuff that involves being in a band our size on a business,
Yeah,
way.
for
And
sure.
we kind of got
It's not
slapped in
just
the
playing some music anymore. It's a
no,
whole
no,
thing.
and we own our band, and we've always been the CEOs of Gaslight Anthem. So like, there is a lot we ran into in this first year, just like mistakes made, mistakes rectified, things moving in different directions. That definitely was an element of it. And then as far as like happy to be back, yeah, man. Like I love being the drummer in the Gaslight Anthem, and I think the only downsides to it at this point are I'm older and I'm a family man, and I very much enjoy that part of my life. I enjoy
Sure.
the day to day of doing that kind of stuff. So, you know, um, there's again that kind of sacrifice. But it's, again, like what I said at the beginning, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make when Gaslight's clicking and Gaslight's writing music and we're doing the thing the way it's supposed to be done. It feels special to me and it feels like something that's worthy of the time and worthy of my absence.
Yeah.
So like when that's going on, as much as it sucks, I'm okay with it and we work around it. And the upside to it is, when I'm home these days, I don't have a proper 9 to 5. So, I'm there for breakfast, I'm there
Yeah.
for bedtime, I'm there for all the stuff. So, there's trade-offs, as far as that goes. But there's nothing like being in the studio with the band and playing shows with the band. Yeah, it's my life's work at this point, and sure, it makes me happy. Yeah.
Would you say you towards more the enjoyment of like writing music and being in the studio and recording and putting that out there, or do you like the tour life, missing family aside?
I'd say this day and age, I definitely would say the studio and writing.
Yeah. Okay.
I find a lot like that, is a process that gives me, of course, there's anxiety when you're writing songs, but it's kind of like a beautiful anxiety. Um, you know, and in a way, like it's an anxiety where the stakes are, if you put everything on a really long scale, the stakes are low to that anxiety because your anxiety is about like the tone of a bass or something like that. Um,
The
you
minute things that
know,
a lot of people don't even pick up on.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm not sitting in the studio just like stressed and like, and there are aspects to touring like flying and just being out of my element. I'm a routine driven person. I'm a person who likes quiet and solitude at this point in my life. And
Sure.
uh, some of that stuff is really difficult for me, at
Yeah.
this point. Like almost the beginning of every tour, I have like 2 days of almost just, I can't settle in, it's like a panicky kind of feeling of just like, and then the body kicks in. I've done this since I was 17 years old. And like I know exactly how to do it. I know most of the things that are going to happen. I know my routines. I know like what I need to do to do it well and to like keep my head on straight. But the the transfer back and forth, I would say, is getting more and more difficult.
How do you go with the festival circuit as opposed to doing solo shows? Does that change that like fear or feeling for you going into that? Because it's obviously not as one doing something like Australia. You're doing three festival shows. You're not doing as
Yeah.
much. I know you guys are doing a few side shows as well, but versus doing like night on, night off, night on, night off, continuously touring around, which do you prefer?
I mean, the one thing is like when you start touring, when you get the group together, when you have your crew and you got the gear, the first few days are always a little frantic, everyone's trying to kind of get everything sorted out and you get your day worked out and you get this. But by like 2 weeks into that tour, there's kind of a nice everyday crank it out sort of feeling
Sure.
that's going on. It feels like going to work. It feels put together. Everyone knows what they're doing. You have a similar time frame to a lot of the days. So that actually is a good part about touring for a little bit
Okay.
is you get into that rhythm. This one is probably gonna be a little tougher. Yeah, like just jumping off a 24-hour flight and you know playing a headline show like on rented gear in Australia. We'll
Sure.
see how it goes. So I would say it's a little more of a you're dealing with a lot more variables and stuff in this environment. But that's the cool thing with experience too, is that you change your expectations of the situation, like anytime I see myself on a festival stage for the day, like I've played enough festivals to know any manner of things can happen, you know.
100%.
Um,
It's part of the fun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there could be thunder. You might not even play. That's happened to me too. So, like, I think, like, just be open to the fact that you're dealing with more of a wavy experience, probably.
Yeah, 100%. Now, last time you were out for the Soundwave Festival, that was probably more of a like heavier punk metal leaning festival. Good Things is a little bit more wide ranging in the audience appeal. You guys are playing amongst
Mhm.
a wider variety of artists. Is that more of a comfort for you, being like, we're not as much of an outlier on this sound, or do you like being a bit more unique in a festival bill setting?
It's funny. I mean, I think, especially in 2011, I mean, the sentiment among the band and probably still a bunch of our fans was like, I think I felt more like a person on Soundwave festivals still.
Oh,
You
interesting.
know,
Cool.
like I remember on Soundwave Festival going to watch the Bronx every day, going to watch Pennywise
Yeah.
every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these were my bands. Like this is what I grew up with and the kind of shit I love. And it's the roots of Gaslight.
Yeah, you
So
guys definitely started more punk for sure.
yeah. So I think like in that element we actually feel more at home. It's the way we came up and the people we came up with. Sound wise, we've always been able to hang in that world. I know
Yeah.
we have a little more of a songwriter thing sometimes going on, but it's always been like accepted and cool. So yeah, actually even one of your own, I was surprised to find that like Parkway Drive and Gaslight are mutual fans of each other,
Love that.
because there's just
Yeah.
like, some crossover in that stuff. But then we're going on this festival and not only are there some bands I'm really interested to see, there's some like old friends on it and things like that.
Cool.
We've toured with Frank Turner, I think 3 or 4 times, so
Yeah.
seeing him on a festival is just going to be fun and familiar. And yeah, I
More of a
think
catch
it's
up.
all good. Yeah, it's all good, honestly, like either way. I can't tell you. I mean, I didn't grow up a Corn fan, but I don't know. I'll check that shit out.
You're gonna be in for a good time. Yeah. I feel like
Sure
that's
to
the
be
thing.
interesting,
If
sure
you're
to be interesting.
like, yes, you said you guys started with more of that like punk sound and ethos, you're gonna still have that. It's maybe the way the fans perceive you versus how you perceive yourselves. Like I said, you felt like you were comfortable in the Soundwave lineup, even though like sonically, particularly by the time you guys were out touring, was handwritten out then, maybe?
No, that was 2011, so I think that
Okay,
was probably on American slang at that
sure.
time.
Yeah. That sort of almost more like songwriter, Americana inspired sound might have been what you a lot of people were finding you familiar with. But I think it's a really cool thing, and that's what I really like about Good Things Festival. What you're coming out for is that there's this wide variety of artists and sounds for everyone, and that's really cool from the band's perspective. As you're saying, like Parkway appreciating you guys, it'd be the same for so much of the lineup. Like I come from a perspective
Who
of
are
like
who are you excited to see at
I
Good
like
Things?
everything. I am such a slut
Okay,
for music, so I'm genuinely excited. Like, I love Corn. I think that's going to be so much fun. I was over the
cool,
moon seeing you guys get announced because it's been way too long since you've been here, and I got to see you back in that era. So I'm excited to see this.
sweet.
And I am curious, how much of the newer music are we bringing to Australia this time around?
Yeah, good amount. It's like it's the record we're on. But we're not stupid either, and I've been to a lot of shows and like that's the thing people forget. Like I still go see bands,
Yeah,
and I go see my favorite bands and like I want my favorite bands to play the songs.
sure.
There's a mutual agreement here that you get to play some new stuff. Will be cool, but let's not overdo it. So I think that's the
100%.
mix we'll always find is, we'll find a healthy balance and but it's always it's a funny thing about being an artist, and I think one of the reasons when it's cool where you can kind of get old with your fans is you come to an agreement about certain things in a way, and it's like because they know as an artist you're excited about your new music.
Yeah,
And fans like that you're excited and they like that you're genuinely into it. And like as a musician, yeah, it's fun to play a song I've played 4 times rather than like 450 times.
yeah,
There's some more room there to just like tinker around. It feels different. It's cool and it's exciting. So I think like I said at the beginning, I think fans are cool to let you have some of that, as long as you don't overdo it.
particularly when you've got fans, true diehard fans, are going to go and do the side shows. And that's when they expect more of that. I feel like the festival setting where you're playing to partial audience that might not necessarily be familiar with you,
Sure.
you have to play
Yeah.
the things that, well, clearly this clicked for a lot of people. We're going to do this and win over some new fans.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
excited
And
to be
there's
playing
some
with?
songs we'd be dumb to play at festivals.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Especially to people who don't know who we are. Like you
Just
gotta
those real energy droppers being like, this is a good idea.
yeah, like it's a little pretentious to think that you could pull that off to people you don't know at that point. Like
Yeah.
we learned that just from opening for years and years. If you have a short set and you know you're playing to a lot of eyes that don't know you, like there's a different way to approach it.
100%. So I read that before the band, you'd never really delved into the world of sort of Springsteen and that sort of Americana sound. You came from more of a punk ethos. What are you listening to now? How has your music taste
Hmm,
changed, and what's on current rotation for you at the moment?
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would say in general, a real love, not just for Springsteen, but just more singer-songwriter music and things that paid attention to lyrics and storytelling just started to ring more with me.
Yeah, okay.
And Springsteen was part of that. And I think working with Brian was the first time, prior to Brian, all the bands I'd been in had written those in that punk and hardcore way where like the band writes the music and it's like, here you go, singer, like put
Fill it
something
out.
over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously it's dumb, but uh, it's just the way
There's a
things were
reason for
done.
it. It works.
And yeah, and it was great. And but I remember even the first time I heard the This Charming Man record when I was thinking about trying out for that band was I'm listening to this. I'm like, shit, like this dude can write songs. Like I
Yeah,
can
okay.
hear it. I hear choruses. I hear melodies. I hear
Yeah,
like the things that like I know I'm gonna need if I want to play drums for the rest of my life. Like I gotta find some dude who can do this.
cool.
And I do think after that I think I even got more of an appreciation for like a Petty, for Dylan, for Neil Young. These are kind of some of the artists I really dig from that. And then also for me it comes a lot from the soul kind of school.
Oh yeah,
I'm not far from always listening to Marvin Gaye and Otis Redding and Bill Withers. Going into the 70s, I really dig like Isaac Hayes and Curtis Mayfield and stuff like that. And I find myself there a lot
cool.
rhythmically. I also, after tours, I have a hard time just digesting anything with overly driven electric guitars.
Yeah,
Like I've
I can imagine
been
that.
sitting behind three of these motherfuckers for 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's all
Like
you can
so
hear in your ears
sonic.
already.
Yeah, sonically, I like to change. I listen to a lot of hip hop too.
Okay.
And and then I still love hardcore. I go to hardcore shows. I listen to a
Hell
lot of
yeah.
hardcore bands. I just went to see Drain pretty recently.
Oh, epic.
I saw the Botch reunion shows when they were around. One of them
Cool.
being Botch, Converge, and Cave In, which was a pretty nutso
That is
show.
a chaos.
It was
What
cool.
was Converge playing?
Just the
Just
regular
better.
set.
Okay. I
Yeah,
knew that
yeah,
they just
yeah.
played like a Jane Doe in full, and I wasn't sure if it was
Yeah, no,
like
no, it was
that.
a mixed set. Yeah. Well, it was
Cool.
funny because I mean, Botch was one of my all-time favorite bands, and they announced this run of shows, and me and my buddy got tickets to this club show in New York. We're like so stoked to go. And then they announced a week later they were doing one with Converge and Cave In, and we're like, well, we have to
Yeah,
go.
it'd be rude
And
not
this
to
was
do
the
that.
yeah, yeah. And this was the first time I think I've gone to like, you know, two shows in 2 weekends that I'm not playing
Yeah.
in probably decades, you know. So Botch really made me get off. Um yeah, so I mean that's a lot of the stuff I guess I'm listening to now. I don't want to pick up my phone and play the iTunes game. But I also have like I have two kids and I have a bunch of records. I have thousands of records,
Cool.
and I really do try to make it a point of, I just turn the thing on, I tell them to pull things out, and it's funny, I start to get, weird appreciations for things I forgot I appreciated or didn't even
Yeah,
know I
great.
should. You know, like for instance, my son loves Space Jam. And
Yep. Who
you
doesn't?
know, in the movie Space Jam is Seal's version of Fly Like an Eagle.
Okay.
So, of course, we're downloading some Seal and taking in that song. And I'm like, you know what I haven't heard in a while is the Steve Miller Band version. Turns out I have it on vinyl. I think it was from a collection I got. Long story, but it was from somebody who went to prison, and I wound up with their records.
Oh,
And there was a lot of Steve Miller Band in there. And and then I put that on, and I'm like, wow, like Fly Like an Eagle it's a fucking dope song.
yeah.
Like the drums are nice. Like there's this real tight 70s groove to it. Like there's all this funky spacey shit going on. And I'm like, wow, I honestly didn't even know I was supposed to like Steve Miller Band. And I totally love Steve Miller Band.
How
So
old are your
that's a lot of
kids?
like my musical stuff. I got a 7 and 9 year old.
And how did they go with your musical appreciation? Is it rubbing off on them, or do they have their own individual tastes?
I'd say both, like they start going down their own wormholes for different reasons. My son loves Iron Maiden. Like we were talking about that. We just took him to a show in New York for his ninth birthday.
Cool.
Um,
Love that.
and he's just a kid who loves like fantasy and loves that kind of stuff. And I think he was drawn in initially by even he loves like fast music, but then it was also just the imagery. Just
Yeah.
thought it was cool. He loves looking at the records and these little worlds going on in there and
That is something that
zombie
Iron Maiden
fantasies
does
and
so well. It's like this whole
yeah.
experience, and the live show too.
Yeah.
So good.
And then we just went to the show and still like Bruce Dickinson's going behind like a fake gun
I
and
saw him like
shooting
3 weeks
Eddie
ago.
and they're
Yeah, it was the
yeah,
same
so you
thing.
saw they're having the
Incredible.
battle on stage. I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, it's fucking great.
And they're just like
So
rocking
yeah,
in their mid 70s. Incredible.
totally, totally. So I
So
think it's a mixture of like, you influence, you play things if they like, and then they start to develop and you try to like, nurture that. Like,
yeah,
my
cool.
daughter likes Kiss right now. I've never listened to more Kiss in my life than I have right now. But I'm not going to tell her, like, no, that's the reason you shouldn't listen to that. I'm like, this is every reason you should.
Sure. That's great. Encourage it.
I'm just not going to tell you much about Gene Simmons yet. Like,
Yeah, wait until she's a little older. Smart
yeah,
move.
yeah.
And what about good things? No clashing permitting. Who are you excited to get the chance to see on the lineup?
Wait, let me bring up the lineup to make sure I don't mess this up. Because if I
It's
leave somebody
it's
out,
fun and varied, which is I think they've done a great job this year. There's a little something for everyone.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, I remember this. Okay, so some of my favorite bands are playing. I forgot about some of these bands. I love Mastodon. So
Yep.
I will be watching Mastodon every day.
Cool. Great.
Um, I definitely have an appreciation and an old school love for 311. So I'll be going to see 311 a lot. I'll definitely be going to see Frank Turner, old buddy.
Yep.
Let me see here. L7, that's cool. Jet, I will check out. Billy Corgan, I'm curious. I don't know what that is. What
He
song? He
he's
doesn't play
doing
Smashing Pumpkin songs, does he?
he does. He's doing a bit of
Oh, he
everything.
does.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, I
so
think
it's
that's
like the
that's really
Corgan
exciting.
experience. Wait, what does he have? Does he have solo records?
He's done some individual stuff. I'm really
Oh,
interested to see
okay.
what he's playing there because he's
Yeah.
such a talented, creative dude. I'm
Yeah.
sure we're going to get a very interesting set there.
Yeah. And Violent Femmes, I love. I'll check them out a lot.
Great.
Some 41, we've got we just hung out with the bass player recently on tour. Very nice guy. I
Yep.
think those are bands. Some 41 and Corn are both bands I haven't spent a lot of time listening to in my
Okay.
life, but I am happy to check out, like yeah, no, this is a great lineup. I'm gonna have fun at this. Who's
If
your favorite one? Who are you gonna see?
there, so we tend to lean a little bit more to the heavy stuff. John, my partner I
Hmm.
do the channel with is currently at work. He does work a 9 to 5 job, so he can't hang out with you like I can. But
Okay, do the fun stuff.
Imminence, they're a Swedish like metal band. They call themselves like
Yeah.
Violin Core. The singer plays violin, and he is
Ooh,
crazy talented.
that's fun.
Electric Callboy, German electro metal is the only way I'd describe that. And if there's
Ooh,
one show to see that's gonna like be fun, that is the one I would recommend watching because
the Electric
they
Callboy.
Electric Callboy they played
All right,
2 years
yeah, yeah.
ago on the small stage and just everyone went and watched there. So they're on the main stage this year and it's going to be
Cool,
a hell of a good time. So I definitely recommend seeing
awesome.
some of that.
I will, I will.
But yeah, that's the beauty of this festival. As I said, there's a bit of something for everyone, and if your taste lie here, well, there's sort of artists that bridge the gap to lead you in other areas too. So I think it's going to be a really good time. And as I said, I'm stoked you guys are playing it. It's been too long since we've had you out here, so very thankful you
Yeah, I'm
joined on
trying to
board.
think it. And these are some bands I've seen and but seen long, long ago, Like 311 was one of the first like club shows I went to in like 1994 or something like that.
I was too young
I
to know
remember,
about them. I've only just learned them for the
yeah.
first time recently.
I remember seeing L7 played Lollapalooza 93 in the US when it was like still traveling around,
Yeah,
And yeah, I think and that is probably the last time I saw L7. So it would be 31 years later, me checking out
just a casual
L7 now.
31 years.
Yeah, just
That's
just a quick
incredible.
blip, right?
I mean, they got Kerry King playing there. Like there's some OG names in the music industry on this bill. It's pretty wild.
The thing that excites me about seeing Kerry King is like, I bet he got someone dope to play drums for him. I don't know who
Oh,
it is, but it's
I
probably somebody really
feel
good.
like someone told me about this, and now it's slipping my mind. I know that whoever he's playing with, he's got some big names on his guest list. So
I'm sure it's somebody sick.
yeah. Oh, dude. Well, thank you for taking the time to hang out this morning. I'm, as I
No, no
said,
worries.
a
I
big
appreciate
fan,
it.
so I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys out here. I'm looking forward to hearing the new music too. Genuinely, like that. I really like the new album. I feel like there's some really strong singles in there, and I'm sure they're the ones we're going to get a taste of. So
Awesome.
I'm
Well,
looking
thanks.
forward to
This
that.
was fun. Yeah, yeah. Look forward to coming. It's
Thanks,
gonna be
Benny.
fun. Maybe we can high five.
I would love, yeah, we'll definitely make that happen. I'm sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Legend. Thanks, dude.
All right. Peace.